Hey there, I'm Alanis, and I am here with.
Aiden.
Sterling.
Xander.
Berta.
And my friend Myern. You guys just played a show with Verself here at Walter Studios
Mm-hmm.
in Phoenix. How's everything going? You guys got you guys released your demo earlier this year in like January or February.
January.
Yeah, and kind of like a Phoenix supergroup of like screamo. We got Pneumonia, Journal, Feel More or Less. Forgive me. What was your project? Were you in another project?
Just feel more or less.
Oh yeah.
Just sure feel more or less.
Yeah. So like, how did this all come to be?
Well, what do you call it? We've all been like friends for like several years. Like I've known Berta for, like since like COVID.
Yeah.
Because like we all played in like local bands, and like my punk band was gonna play with Berta's shitty punk band.
Yeah.
Mine was shittier though. And then like Xander was in Cenobite, and I knew of them. And then me and Aiden like met through mutual friends. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm kind of like the newest of the group. Like in this whole thing, I was just kind of like around. I didn't really like meet anyone until
Like I had met you before.
Yeah.
But, like, we didn't
like really
like,
get to know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Or anything. But
Now look at you two.
But and then I don't know. It was kind of like after like all of our other bands were like kind of breaking up, except for Xander's. We were like, let's just start a band and like hang out.
pretty much.
Nice. So, are there plans to possibly make like an EP sometime this year or a full album? What's the like the roadmap of releases looking like?
So we have a split that we want to do.
Yeah, we have a couple splits. We have a split coming up this year with our friend Stitching from Flagstaff.
Okay.
So that's really exciting. And then we have like a album, in the works.
Oh, nice.
The full length, yeah.
There you go. Coming out with the full length right away and a bunch of splits. I mean, kind of that's like the screamo blueprint.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of live stuff, demos, and everything eventually compiled together into a shipsography or an alpha beta polyphology. Just like 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
So like right now, Phoenix is like a real hotbed for like screamo. Like there's so many great emerging bands playing here and coming from here. What do you think sets the Phoenix area apart from other parts of the country right now that gives it such a unique perspective on screamo to create so many bands of this ilk?
I don't know. Honestly,
I wouldn't say like it's special. I mean,
I think it's different in like I think, and I don't think this is unique to Arizona. I think it could be like a Southwest thing because I think aside from just Arizona, like the Southwest U.S. right now, generally South, SoCal, uh, like Imperial Valley, like there's so much going on, and I think a big part of it is just the shittiness of living in the desert and living in this like super arid, like it's like I went to Portland for a week and I flew back and it was like I was landing on Mars. Like it was so depressing. And I think that's kind of a factor in it for me. Yeah.
yeah, like Palm Springs made Caius. Like the desert. I think the desert does actually kind of wear off on you a little bit, and
changes.
but I don't know. I think the other thing too, like I notice at least like some of the newer bands here don't necessarily take inspiration from like directly what's popular. Like they're not like looking at a band that's like just come out a year ago and being like, oh, like I don't know, some of the like you can tell like Stitching, they're kind of taking from more sing-songy '90s kind of pretty or emo, which isn't as popular in like SoCal and stuff. So I don't know. I think just people are finding good inspiration. And
Yeah, like being in a shitty area, kind of like what else are you gonna do? Just jam out.
yeah, we can't go see like a SoCal show with a bunch of stacked vans every single weekend. So we're kind of stuck to finding little
Making your own
gems. And,
shit.
yeah, right.
There's a lot of cool stuff going on in El Paso. Like, you ever been to El Paso? That's like the worst fucking place on earth.
No.
It's awful. I thought Phoenix was bad. Like El Paso sucks.
Yeah, but like in Denton right now, there's like a really burgeoning scene out
Oh
there
yeah,
too.
yeah.
And I feel like that's another one of those things where it's like if you go up to someone like a year ago and you're like, hey, live shows in Denton are crazy, they'd be like, the middle of Texas? What? They'd be like, no, but like that like you look at like Central Illinois, right? Like there's an explosion of bands out of that scene, and there's like nothing but cornfields out there, you know. So like the desolation does kind of give it that sense of purpose. Like you mentioned Caius, like the Queens of the Stone Age album, Songs for the Deaf. It's about driving from L.A. to Joshua Tree, and just like flipping through the radio station. And if you make that drive while listening to it, you're like, man, this does feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, the desert, trying to cling on to any sound you can get to just fill the time. But like that lack of direct influence, I think helps create that unique sound of like, well, it's not here, we got to do it ourselves anyway. The real DIY like spirit of it, and like that's something that helps all these like great like young bands feed into each other and like create like this kind of synergy. And something I noticed with your guys' two songs is that they're a lot longer in length than a lot of like newer bands. What kind of inspires you to have these longer songs, these bigger instrumental passages, and where do you see yourself progressing that sound?
For me, so when I was in like early high school, I got really into, I want to say just like music in general. Um, I started looking at a lot of like lists of like, best albums, best rock albums. And I found a band called Godspeed You Black Emperor,
Oh, yeah.
which ended up,
Absolutely.
yeah, a huge influence. And I never really, because after that I got into just direct punk rock, and it was that for a couple years, and then it was screamo and power violence for a couple years, and then I heard like Funeral Diner does it really well. There's a band, they're a little bit older, they're from the early 2010s, they're from Scotland, called The Fall of Boss Koala, and they have a really really good 5-track EP on Spotify where they seamlessly blend like the post rock and screamo together. And I think like one of their songs, I think it's called "I Love My Dead Gay Son" Part One. That was a huge inspiration for the first "My Friend My Urn" song, and you can hear it because it's kind of the same thing. Like it starts with kind of a single riff, it builds up forever, and then kind of explodes and goes into these other like passages and such.
Yeah, Funeral Diner is definitely huge for me too. Like late high school, I found the Underdark, and I would just listen to that shit for like the whole day at school. Like and more recently too, Drowning with Our Anchors is really awesome.
Yes.
Instrumental shit, just long. They have really cool stuff with like soundscapes, and we all love Who Calls So Loud too.
Underrated.
So
Yeah, so
like
underrated.
probably the most underrated band on my list
Yeah.
of underrated
Drowning
bands.
with the Anchors too.
Oh yeah,
That's probably my biggest inspiration.
yeah, but yeah, just like I don't know, I've been enjoying music more where I'm just kind of like appreciating it, and it doesn't take it takes its time, and you get to appreciate every like little bit of artistry that they put into it.
Yeah, and I feel like in the past little while, there's been this kind of love for this kind of style, like bands like Newfound Interest in Connecticut, The World's a Beautiful Place, Hum, bands that have these bigger instrumental passages are coming into the screamo scene, and these styles are really trying to like are really erupting into it. Like you guys mentioned, a lot of like post rock bands, and on paper it might not sound like it works, but it really does when you string it all together. Especially seeing these songs played live, like there's such a great energy to it of the ebb and flow of the songs. When composing this stuff, did you guys have kind of the vision of what it would look like live in mind?
I mean, I knew we wanted to be loud.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a big goal.
I think. Yeah, I don't know how to explain this. I read this in there was an interview with like Ulf where they were talking about like why they like screamo, and it was just like, well, like screamo is, and I could totally be misquoting this, but it's like and they didn't say this exactly, but like the way they were explaining it was that like screamo is like the least rigid like genre when it comes to like punk or hardcore or emo. It's like there's so much room in screamo to really experiment, and I mean, emo in general, you have emo bands that go on the indie side, emo bands that go on, they take like Lagermoss, for example, that take influence from D-Beat, crust punk, and the post rock bands too. And it's like, I feel like with screamo, there's so much room to do different things and try and incorporate, things that aren't typically found in emo or hardcore.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of like subgenre possibility and like just getting them like there's an infinite mix you can do. Like, I mean, I love So Long Partner, and that's like synth folk, indie, emo. He kind of does so many different genres in one, but it works.
Mhm.
It's like a package you can kind of put anything you want into and get something nice out of it still.
Yeah, and like the thing about Skramz and Screamos is there are endless options. I feel like for experimentation,
Yeah.
and the communities are based around it are absolutely great. Like because no matter what your niche is, there's so many different ways to experiment and to evolve. Like on paper, all your guys' different previous bands are all different like flavors of screamo, but this is such a blending of all these styles that comes together and really kind of creates its own thing that. In my opinion, has like a lot of legs under it and a lot to like work with, and seems like there's a lot of road ahead of you guys. So, if you guys could pick like your perfect bill right now of a band, two other bands to play with right now, who would they be?
Oh, Drowning with Our Anchors.
Is it all time or is it?
Is it like active or is it like all time?
We just pick anybody.
Pick anybody.
Oh, you go first.
Oh, Drowning with Our Anchors and I want to say Who Calls So Loud, but let me think of another deep cut. I'd love to play with The Saddest Landscape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Two Nights.
Okay.
Or Father Figure.
You picked like 5 already.
Oh, sorry.
We're just booking a festival at this point.
Yeah. Funeral Liner for sure.
Okay.
I can't say Who Calls So Loud. That's basically like
Yeah.
a lot of the same members. Shit. I love a lot of like the French screamo and like the French screamo kind of soundscape.
Okay.
So something like Ditro really hits for me as well. I like Ditro a lot, so I think something like Ditro would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You kind of stole both mine. I was going to say Funeral Diner for sure. Ditro's a really good option. Definitely newfound interest. Honestly, like that album was huge for me when I first heard it. So seeing that live would be really cool. I don't know who my other would be. I mean, honestly, if we're going anytime, I might just go with like Captain Jazz or something. Like, something that you'd like always want to see but never see.
Actually, both those bands are on tour right now.
That's true, yeah. I don't know what my other one would be. That's a tough call.
I think one of the biggest bands for me would be Neil Perry.
Yes.
The Linus Situation, like discography, like the whole like year before Pneumonia was a band, like that's what I was listening to, at work all the time, just like 6 to 8 hours a day, just on repeat. Shotmaker, also, one of my favorites. They're not, like they're not very traditional screamo. Like they're a little slower, but still very like heavy and deliberate. And same thing, like that was a very influential band for Pneumonia. And trying to think of a good third band. This is one of those questions where it's like when you're not on the spot, you know exactly what bands you know. I would say probably like Julia. That self-titled LP is very influential to me as well.
I thought of my other one. It would be You Could Be a Cop,
Okay.
but only with Natalie Evans because that EP is so good. I want to see the whole thing live.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, thank you all very much for talking, and it was great seeing you guys tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.